We're going to talk about transport majorly, and joining us right now to give the scorecard of Mr. Governor in 1 year is the Honorable Commissioner for Transport in Lagos, Dr. Frederick Oladehinde. It's nice to have you in the building. Good morning, sir.
It's good to be here.
Great. So, yesterday you were given a scorecard of Mr. Governor's administration in 1 year. Let's start from, some of the things which you've talked about. I know a lot of people have been talking about some new initiatives which you reeled out yesterday. But before we reflect on those new initiatives, let's talk about what has been done in the past 1 year.
Thank you, Mr. Victor. A lot has been done. Before I actually reel that out, let us understand where we're coming from.
Okay.
So currently, you know that 97% of all our trips are done by road.
Right.
Which means that the road network is under pressure. Also, when you go around, the road network is not fully utilized.
Right.
And so one of the agenda was to manage the existing network and then to develop a sustainable way of moving people from one point to the other. So in trying to sustain and manage the existing network, we had to start from an institutional point of view.
Right.
So we had to reform LASMA. So first of all, we added to the personnel of LASMA.
Right.
We added over 1,000 personnel and we trained them up. We increased the operational hours from 10 to 11 o'clock.
Right.
We also equip them with all kinds of gadgets to help them to attend to incidents as quickly as possible.
Right.
One of the most important ones is the communication gadgets, so that people can communicate to each other and then respond to accidents as quickly as possible.
Okay, and in doing all of that, adding 1,000 additional traffic managers to the traffic management team, what about their care in terms of ensuring that they are properly catered for? Did the governor make provisions for that?
Yes. The governor increased the hazard allowance by 100%. And for those who do the late shift, especially to 11 o'clock, what we're beginning to do is to provide accommodation close to where they're working so that they can actually go there and rest and then proceed to where they live in the morning. So we make sure that they're in comfortable condition.
Right.
So I think that's important.
Okay.
Now, apart from that, and I've mentioned this several times, most of our junctions were constructed over 20-30 years ago,
okay,
when the population was about 5 million or less.
Right.
Now we're having to cater for about 22 million residents in Lagos, and so the roundabouts and the junctions are beginning to be stretched. In fact, most of them are saturated, and so what we're simply doing is reconfiguring some of them. We're taking out roundabouts, we're increasing the capacity, we're putting in traffic lights, and the kind of traffic lights that we're putting is what we call actuated traffic lights.
What does that mean?
It just means that it's demand sensitive. So
okay,
when you have more demand, that's where we give priority to that stretch of road. And we're also trying to link all the traffic lights in such a way that they communicate with each other. So
more or less like there's going to be a central command for
yeah, definitely. I think that's quite important. So we're trying to develop a scoop system,
right,
where we're able to control all the traffic lights, and that's one of the smart city initiatives that we're launching on this administration.
Wonderful. All right, so these traffic enhancement projects, or remodeling as we call it, to improve all major roundabouts and junctions, how many have you identified so far within the past 1 year?
In the past 1 year, we've identified 60 of them. Now, some of them require remodeling, and then some of them require just strict traffic management. So different junctions require different measures.
Okay.
So junctions such as Allen Avenue, where the roundabout has been there for over 20 years, we're taking it out, we're signalizing.
Okay.
Lekki first and second roundabout has been taken out because it's oversaturated.
All right.
We are taking out Ikoto roundabout, Ibrahim Adesanya roundabout, and then we've remodeled the Maryland junction also. Right. So these are major junctions where we have gridlocks.
Okay.
And then later on we'll move to areas such as the Admiralty roundabout, and the Keja, that's the Ayinke House, etc.
Okay.
So these are junctions that we still have to treat. Now, the other junctions such as Uyingbu, Yaba, etc., where we have formed a task force approach. So what do I mean by that? So
yes, I needed to explain that to me.
Yeah, sure. So we have LASMA, we have the Neighborhood Watch, we have the Environmental Safety Corps, and the police coming together to solve traffic in chronic areas like Oyingbo. So when you look at Oyingbo, for example, you have people selling on the road, you have downforce parking on the road, and then you then have people driving badly. So people selling on the road, so the Environmental Safety Corps would deal with that.
Okay.
In terms of collecting intelligent information as to what is happening around the neighborhood, the Neighborhood Watch will give us that information. Then LASMA will try and control traffic with the police backing them up. So you can see that all these people are now working together to deal with different issues that are causing traffic at these junctions. So we have them at several junctions. So for example, Aja is a good example.
That's Aja?
Aja, yeah. Okay. Aja is a good example where strict traffic management is required. We have areas such as Yanokbaja, etc. So we're beginning to deal with the 60 traffic gridlock points.
Gradually.
Okay. But one thing I will say is that we can't all pile our cars on the road. So we need alternative.
All right, and that's what we're going to be talking about very, very shortly. This is Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, and on your side mirror this morning, if you're wondering who's speaking so eloquently, is the Honorable Commissioner for Transport, that's Dr. Frederick Oladehinde, and we're reviewing 1 year of Mr. Governor, that's Babajide Sanwo-Olu. All right, so coming up, we'll talk about the transport policy. What has been the vision driving the transport policy in Lagos? And how can we decongest our roads to make it much better? Plus, other aspects that we can reflect on this morning as relates to transport. We'll also hear from you. What is the response of the ministry towards the effect of COVID-19 on the transport sector? All that and much more still on the program this morning. I have the Honorable Commissioner for Transport in the studio, Dr. Frederick Oladehinde, and we're dwelling on 1 year administration of Governor Sanwo-Olu, precisely looking at the transport component of that. Right. Well, the governor came in with a themes agenda, and your ministry occupies a pivotal role in interpreting that particular agenda. Let's reflect on the transport policy that drives his vision for transportation. What does it look like, sir?
Okay, the aim of the transport policy is to give people options. When you look at what is happening in Lagos right now, a lot of people are captive to either their cars or maybe captive to downforce. And what we want to do is to open up the transport network and give people options. So today you might decide to travel with your car, and then tomorrow you might decide to use public transport. So let's open up. Let's make public transport attractive. Let's make it affordable. Let's make it green, which means that we want to make it environmentally friendly. Okay. And so when the governor came in, he made the blue line and the red line his flagship project. Okay. The blue line starts from Marina, and it would end in Okokomaiko, but the first phase, which we're focusing on right now, is from Marina to Mile 2. And we've made considerable progress. So we're in advanced negotiation with an investor to finance and implement all outstanding works, which includes operations and maintenance. Okay. And we're hoping to get that up and running.
Because, the question that comes in at this point is that, some would have said that that project has been on for so long.
Exactly.
So when are we going to bring that real project to passenger operation, for instance?
Second quarter of 2022. There's a lot of energy going in there to make sure that we complete it. I admit that it has been slow. We've experienced technical issues as well as financial, but we're overcoming that.
Okay.
I think we have a blueprint, and we're very optimistic that we're going to finish this, and then we would commence passenger operation by second quarter of 2022.
All right. The red line, which you said is also part of the things that the governor is really working with, how far with it? How far has it gone?
The red line is gathering momentum. We have signed a contract for the red line. Remember that the red line is sharing the same corridor as the NLC. That's the corridor that goes from Lagos to Ibadan.
All right.
And so we have signed a shared agreement with NLC. We signed that in March. And we've started, we have all the designs ready. So the contractor is due to commence work as soon as possible.
And I need you to break this down for us, Honorable Commissioner. When you say shares the same corridor, it's to say that they're going to be running on the same track, or Lagos is going to develop its own track along that corridor as well?
Lagos will develop its own track eventually, but we will share the same track for now. Now, when you understand how intercity rail works, so when you build a track, so you can have a train every hour or every 2 hours. So in between that train, the track is idle. So you can now run intra-city transportation on that track.
Right.
But what you have to do is to build your own station, because the federal rail station would have maybe 3 tracks, 3 stations. So we have Ibutimeta, we have Agege, and then we have Agbado. So in between that, we will now build several stations to cater for the community around there.
All right, let me just sneak in this, because I know some listeners have been calling us to talk about this. I know during the construction of that's the rail modernization program, you've had some areas where you have the underpass, right?
That's correct.
A place like Mongo Ashadi has that. Some commuters and people have been talking about the Lupeju bypass. And there's thinking, can't we have an underpass at that location as well?
Well, there's a lot of measures that go into determining whether it's an underpass or an overpass. So cost comes in, and then the texture of the soil, etc.
Okay.
And so for now, I think an overpass is more viable.
Okay.
And so that's what we're planning for that area.
For that particular location.
Yes.
All right. Let's move beyond that. So the rail projects are still actively on. Governor Sanwo-Olu is driving on that. But what other aspects drives his transport policy? To ensure that Lagosians can commute, they can move around from place to place with ease.
Okay. You would also notice that the governor is pouring a lot of energy into water transportation. So we've revived Lag Ferry. We have bought 8 additional boats to add to the 6 that they currently have. Yeah, so they have 14 now. Lag Ferry is not the only one, catering for transportation in our inland waterways. We have 60 operators. So what Lag Ferry is simply doing is complementing those people and then running on the routes that you might say is not too viable. But and the aim of government is to make sure that we cater for every community.
Right.
So the Lagos State government is partnering with the private operator to make sure that we revive the water transport network. Now, one of the things that this administration is also doing, and which is very important, is to connect water transport. One of the downside of water transport is that it's not properly connected to the rest of the network, and that's why people are not encouraged to use water transport. But we are beginning to bring them together with the bus mode as well as the rail mode. So no station will be left in isolation. Everything will be connected to another mode of transport.
So we're going to have interconnectivity with all the modes.
Definitely.
So if I have a card now, are you saying that I can hop on the bus, get a particular location, join the train, and when I get to another location, I can go on the waterways? Is that the ultimate design? That's
the ultimate design. I was going to come to that. So Lagos State is also launching a common ticketing system, which is part of our integration strategy. And with that card, you can use it on any modes of transport. We have signed with an investor. We have developed the architecture for that structure. And by next month, we'll be doing our pilot. So we have the interswitch company in place. We have the people providing the cards in place. We have the super agents in place.
Right. I want to just dwell on this a bit. What do you call it now? The inter-ticketing?
No, common ticketing system.
Common ticketing system. How is it expected to work?
Well, for those who have been abroad, it's just like the Oyster card. But let me just break it down. So basically, you get a card, and then you can go to any agent and then load it with money. So, for example, in that card, you can have about 10,000 naira, and then you can load it every week. You can load it every month. And then when you want to go on maybe any mode of transport, you just swipe it. Again, there's a validator on every bus. Okay. There'll be a validator before you get into your rail mode, and then there's a validator for water transport also. So you just swipe, and then when you get to your destination, you swipe out. So when you swipe in, it records the origin where you started your journey, and then when you swipe out, it records the destination, and then it calculates the fare.
Right.
And then it deducts it from your card.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, then let's move on now and quickly talk a bit before we allow people to join the conversation as well. COVID-19 came like a storm, and it came like a stranger or like a thief in the night. Nobody expected that we're going to be facing this kind of pandemic at this time. Definitely. What has been the response of the ministry, or perhaps let's just articulate it in terms of what the governor has done in the areas of transportation responding to COVID-19?
Yeah, with COVID-19, I think our first priority was to protect the commuters. So we quickly developed a guideline, and that guideline is expected to get people to respect social distance, use face mask, make sure that their personal hygiene is up to scratch. So by providing wash basins in various motor parks, as well as sanitizers, and then a temperature reader to make sure that people who have a temperature who we suspect have the condition do not board the buses. So we've had to put all that together. And the government has invested in, providing some of this infrastructure. We had a stakeholder consultation with all the stakeholder, the operators, right, just to get their buy-in and to get an agreement as to how all this would pan out.
And in terms of compliance level, Honorable Commissioner, have you assessed it from the ministry's point of view?
Oh, yes, we have. In terms of compliance level, I think we have good compliance with the regulated buses. That's the BLT as well as the Lagos Bus Services Limited buses. Those are the big blue buses. Mm-hmm. And then water transport has been really good. But where we've had the problem is with the yellow buses. It has been a real problem. Okay. And so we also have a task force, an enforcement team that goes around in collaboration with the police to make sure that people stick to the guidelines. But I must say it has been a
Herculean task.
Oh, yes.
Okay. We'll talk about that. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. All right. You're going to be engaging with us, and perhaps there are one or two things that you'd like to react to. We're looking and reflecting on the governor's strides in transportation, especially in the past 365 days. Today is May 28th, and that tells you it's exactly a year since Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu took the reins of governance. But we are reflecting on the different areas, and that's why we've been talking about the inter-ministerial press briefing. It continues today, by the way, and we'll be talking much more, especially in the areas of education and technology. But let's hear from you this morning. If you want to join the conversation, you can do that on our social media platform as well. We're streaming live on Facebook, so you can put your comments there. We'll definitely attend to it. That's Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, and our Twitter handle at Lagos Traffic 961. Of course, you can also send your questions via WhatsApp, which is the same number. But if you want to reach us live in the studio right now, feel free. It's on 0809 912 0777. That's 0809 912-0777. Okay, that's the numbers that you can connect with us if you want to join the conversation this morning. All right, so we have the Honorable Commissioner for Transport in the studio, and we're reflecting on the governor's strides in 1 year. Talk to me. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
All right, good morning, sir.
My name is Ayo, calling from Mogba.
Ayo, it's nice to hear from you.
Yeah, I appreciate the Commissioner for Transport in Lagos State. For all these their programs, I think they have to do it and do it very fast. They have to be timely. Do you know that what you just mentioned now can boost the internal revenue of Lagos State?
What's that?
This one card.
Okay, the one card system.
Now, just give people, just give them. Now, if you pay your tax, you are going to have access to free transportation for 1 week. Now, what that will do is this. One, I can categorically tell you, most companies are deducting that money from their workers, but they are not remitting to the government. Now, if they should do that, that will solve at least like 70%. Because if I'm your workers and they're telling me you have paid my tax, and I got to the bus stop that they told me that I have free access to the transportation, and I can't access it. I have to ask questions, and if I ask questions, definitely you will remit that money.
Right.
Another thing is people like free things.
People like what?
They will do it free, something free.
Okay,
Just
freebies.
Free that they will pay.
Okay.
So if they can annex all these their program, definitely the internal revenue will be boosted. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I was pretty concerned about where Lagos can get to if they put all of this, some of this new vision, these new plans into implementation. Okay then, thank you so much for your call, 0809-912-0777.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Commissioner.
Good morning.
Good work. God bless you.
What's your name?
Governor. Good morning. My name is Uche. I'm calling from Uche from Badaya.
All right, go ahead, Uche.
God bless the Commissioner and the Governor. More grace to you, Ebo.
Right.
I appreciate your work.
Thank you very much.
My concern or reservation, I'm very sorry, I just have to come out this way.
Okay.
Last man are doing a very pretty job, but I have the feeling that, sorry to use the language, 70% of them are touts. I'm very sorry to...
Why do you say 70%? What's your measurement? What's your evaluation?
I have come across a lot of them one way or the other. Their manner of approach is not falling at all.
Okay.
Yes, let's assume that is a polite way. You tell a stupid man that this man, you are stupid, you committed this offense. And the man will realize, yes or no?
Okay.
So I am thinking that retraining and training, most especially on psychology and manner of approaching the public, we do a good way. We do a lot. So that by the time you are training somebody and you are ticketing that same person, the person will appreciate. I want to go out to pay that money, saying that this person has been has had a very good mannerism of telling me my fault and my...
All right, so Uche, so you want them to be trained and properly retrained, right?
Retrained. The last time I had, most especially with one of them with the Central Business
District.
Yes, in Lagos Island. If I have known that somebody like you, I will find your number and I will call them because it's a very pathetic situation.
Okay. All right, we're talking about...
making a U-turn.
Right.
Somebody was making a U-turn. And in between streets, I just have to wait for that person to finish whatever. That is what the driving us say. Do you know they came all the way from back and
they picked you up.
My plate number.
Right.
That I'm blocking their senior officer behind me.
Wow, quite unfortunate.
So you can imagine.
Right, Uche, sorry for that kind of experience that you went through, but I'm sure that the commissioner has taken note of your complaint, and I'm sure he's...
Like Kenny, is doing a very... Please, sir, let me just say this, finally.
Right.
Kenny is doing about 24 hours job, and he should not be. Please,
okay.
Papa, please, see to him. He's doing a very fantastic job.
Last one, Kenny.
I pray for him every day I wake up.
Okay, then. All right. Thank you so much. You want to respond to that directly?
Yes, I do. I think he's raised a very valid point there. Thank you, Mr. Uche, for the points you've raised. We are aware of it, and that's why we're deploying technology. In the next couple of months, you will see that we are deploying handheld devices so that we can minimize the interaction between commuters and the last mile officers. And so we're going into a digital era where when you commit an offense, it's the camera that will judge you, and not people stopping you and then extorting you for money.
Right,
so we are pretty much aware of that.
Digital enforcement.
Oh, yes.
Okay, then.
And post-COVID, it's also dangerous to start interacting with the commuters, etc.
Oh, okay.
So it's something
that... the state is prepared for that.
Oh, yes.
All right, 0809-912-0777. Let's still continue on that trajectory, hearing from you. That's why the commissioner is here. Apart from reviewing what has gone down in 1 year, he's also here to sound you out and hear some of your concerns. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor.
Yeah, good morning.
Look, Commissioner, good morning. Lelubo on the line.
Good morning.
All right, Lelubo, go ahead.
God bless you. Thank you for coming. I just want to talk about the Likeju bypass. Not only Likeju bypass, PWD as well as Ikeja. I disagree with you on the issue of cost, sir. Sir, you might not be able to take them at a go once. If you do them gradually, I believe an underpass will be better. Because if you know what commuters and motorists go through trying to climb that hill, most times the tire rubs off the granite and whatever you have there, and we have it, you begin to have gridlock. Now, on the issue of cost, I disagree with you. If you take this thing one at a time, sir, I think it will go a long way. If this administration can do one, in addition to the one that is done in Agege, I think it will go a long way. You might not be able to take everything at once, and underpass is far better. And then on the issue of the texture of the soil, construction has advanced. You can reinforce so that it can accommodate underpass. Please look into it and do an underpass in that place.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Elenibo, for your concern. I know some people have talked about even the level crossing at Oladehinde as well. Even the construction that was done there, I hear it's fading off, and so motorists find it pretty difficult within that location. I'll take one more before I get back to the commissioner. Hello there. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Taiwo.
Taiwo, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Amuwodofu.
All right, go ahead, Taiwo.
Yeah, please, first and foremost, I really want to appreciate the efforts the commissioner is putting in place. But quickly, I want to draw his attention to Agor Palace Way. Agor Palace Way, the traffic gridlock on Agor Palace Way is really, really terrible. And the major problem is the truck parking on that road.
Okay.
I understand that we have about, I think, 3 dry ports on that road. And I don't understand why the government has allowed that to happen. So as a result of that, we are having trucks parked on the road. And that is the major source of the traffic. Remember that the road is paved with interlocking paving stone. If we don't, prevent these trucks, if we don't take control now, they are going to damage that road, which they have done before to a section of the road. And we'll be back to where we started from 8 years ago. So please, if the commissioner can do something about these trucks, if there are people who own dry ports on that road, they should find where to park their trucks and allow the full flow of traffic.
Okay,
the road itself can accommodate 3 lanes on each side. But with the trucks, sometimes you can barely have 1 lane on that road.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm sure he's taking note of that. Thank you for your concern. Honorable Commissioner, he's talking about Agor Palace Way, which is a critical area, and he's talking about the preponderance of trucks, articulated vehicles, always on that corridor. What's the response of the ministry?
I think it also mentioned a good point there. So a week ago, we had the stakeholders with our truck, the associations of truck owners, not just the truck drivers, even NMPC, etc. Okay. And we are putting a structure in place where we want to develop truck parks. We want to ensure that we provide adequate parking for our trucks. And then even not just for trucks within Lagos, trucks coming into Lagos. If you don't have any business in Lagos, we are also having a dialogue with the Ogun State government where we are collaborating with them to develop a truck park at Ugiri, and then develop a call-up system. So there's a lot of work going on. We are pretty much aware. It's not just this area. Even Apapa is a big problem for us. And there's a lot of plan. There's a lot of dialogue going in just to make sure that we sort out this mess.
All right. Honorable Commissioner, earlier in the year, Mr. Governor made it known that the use of motorbikes as a means of transportation isn't part of the vision for movement of people and goods in Lagos. What's the latest initiative? I know we banned Okada, or perhaps restricted them in 6 local governments and 9 LCDAs. But I'm going forward into 2020 and beyond. What's the plan? Do we still have Okada and even the tricycles, the Kekemaras, as part of the plan for transportation in Lagos?
Okada and Keke Napep have never been part of our strategic transport master plan. And what we're putting in place is a framework for first and last mile. And what do I mean by first and last mile? So we are developing the core network. The core network will consist of your rail, your BLT, and then the major buses like the LBSL. Okay. And then the last mile is where you find the Keke Napep and as well as Okadas going into the inner roads, the community. So we are now developing a structure where we have smaller buses that will now ply those roads. Those smaller buses would now form a feeder to the major network.
Right.
We have identified 285 of those. They will be connected with a smart card also. And in the next 2 months, so by July, the first set will be rolled out. Now, Lagos has been divided into 7 zones. And we would have operators that would run the various zones. And we want to develop the structure in such a system that you don't crisscross from one zone to the other. So if you've been assigned to a particular zone, make sure that you run it properly, right. And then it will be properly regulated. So the fourth and last mile structure that is coming in to take the role of.
And what will be the sizes of these buses that will be in the last mile?
There will be max 12 to 14 seaters.
Okay, and they will be able to go into the hinterland, into the inner roads.
Yeah, exactly.
So eliminating the presence of the tricycles and the motorbikes.
Yeah, I mean, post-COVID, you can see that these modes of transport are not sustainable, because whether you like it or not, COVID is here to live with us. And so we just have to manage it.
All right, then. All right, then, even as we head for the finish line, it's talk about prospects and new initiatives in the horizon. Let me see if I can sneak in one call before we begin to wrap up things. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Victor.
Good morning.
Yeah, God bless you.
God bless you too. Who am I speaking with?
Commissioner, good morning. You're speaking with Mr. Imomo.
Imomo. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ikeja.
All right, Imomo. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically, I want to speak about the activities of last month these days.
Okay.
I don't know whether they have come to regulating vehicle, looking for particulars and all that. You see, this morning at the Ikeja bus stop, the major traffic there was caused by last month. They leave their duty and be arresting these vehicles, especially all these yellow vehicles, they carry tire repair, putting order there for no just cause. And we discovered that they were the major cause of that traffic this morning. That has extended as far back as to on that bridge. Okay. So I think the Honorable Commissioner should look into this. These people are supposed to control traffic. They're not supposed to be arresting everybody. You know? You are inside your vehicle, you say you are alone inside your vehicle, you say you don't have a face mask. You are alone inside your vehicle with your AC on.
Okay.
So these are some of the things that the commissioner should have to look into. I know they are doing great work in Lagos State, but some of these boys are trying to frustrate all the effort of the government.
All right.
Please, Honorable Commissioner, look into this. Very important.
All right. Thank you very much, Imomo. Okay, all right. So the issue of last mile still seems to be recurring. I know some of you are talking about that. What's your response to his concern, Honorable Commissioner?
That is why it's very, I would look into it. I would have a meeting with the general manager, and it just validates why we need to bring in technology so that these guys are restricted to just using technology to apprehend vehicles rather than stopping them and then causing traffic.
All right, then. So, even as we begin to round off the program this morning, Honorable Commissioner, what's your message to our people as we project into another year? 1 year is gone already. What's your message to our people as it relates to transportation under the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration?
My message to Lagosian is to please stick to the traffic law. Let's obey the traffic signs, and let's drive safely on our road. And by driving safely and not, being mindful that other people are on the road, I think we can get to our destination as quickly as possible. Right. Most importantly, post-COVID, let's stick to the current guidelines. If you don't really have to go out, don't go out. Let's try and manage COVID-19. Let's try and manage our transport network, because transportation is an area where this virus can explode.
All right.
So let's be mindful of that, and let's do everything that we can to be sensible on the road.
Right. Honorable Commissioner, it's nice having you in the building. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then. We've been able to bring it to you and to your listening pleasure, Dr. Frederick Oladehinde, Honorable Commissioner for Transport. And he's here even at very, very short notice to just come and inform Lagosians on what has been happening in the past 1 year under the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration. Now, some of you have been complaining about LASMA. We have some of their lines that you can reach as well. If you have any infractions, you can always send your complaint, or perhaps call this number 081 299 28550. That's 081 299 28550. Or you can also try 081 299 28469.